Hey there, this is Tom with the Diogenes Lamp podcast. I appreciate you listening in, and most importantly, I hope you enjoy what you hear. Before we start with today's episode, I'm going to ask you for a small favor. Believe it or not, history podcasts, especially in their early stages, tend not to be cash cows. Shocker, I know. I too was blindsided by this news. Now, I didn't go into this for the money. I think that much is obvious. But unfortunately, books, research materials, and equipment aren't free. Please, go to patreon.com/Diogenes Lamp Podcast, and for less than the price of a coffee once a month, you can become a member and get access to bonus episodes, recommended reading lists and documentaries, shout-outs, and anything else we'll offer in the future as this project grows. If you are especially broke, hey, I get it, but please, make sure to give us a 5-star review when you listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the pod on your preferred podcast listening medium. Your support is appreciated, and more importantly, it is needed in order to keep this operation going. On that note, I hope you have a great day, and now back to the show. Back when I wanted to be a diplomat, I was told very specifically by the college counselor that if I took these classes, I would become a diplomat. That's how she told me.
Wow.
I was lied to. Can't believe it. Unbelievable that the college counselor lied to me.
Yeah. At least you didn't. I mean, you might have been stuck in Russia, so. You know.
I know. I had a chance in 2013 to either go to Greece or Russia. And if you think about it, 2013 was probably the last time where you could have gone to Russia because 2014.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was Crimea, you know.
Big war ever since.
Yeah, you know. So it's like, and I was like, fuck this, I'm going to Greece.
Yeah. I still think that was a better choice, though.
Yeah, and it was 1 week in Turkey as well, so I got that experience, which I otherwise would have never fucking gone myself. You know what I mean?
That was one thing about Maduro. It's like he was offered a golden exile in Turkey. It's like, well,
he was?
Yeah.
Dude, fucking take it.
I know, but
I know.
It is funny to be like, oh, it's Turkey. You're gonna be a little snobby.
It is. It is. It's nice.
Historically petty. Yeah.
If you don't care about it being Turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you. We'll start the episode on this note because I think it's a good story, right? I'll tell you my first experience in Turkey when I first got off. So I took a little ferry from Mytilene across. We were going, I forgot where we touched off. I think it was touched off somewhere off the coast by Ayvalık, they call it in Turkish Ayvalık in Greek, and by this other place called Junta. Junta was this little island where they took all the Cretan Muslims, and during the 1923 population exchanges, they took them all over there. So there's this one island I went to. I don't know about all, but all the Turks I met were speaking Cretan Greek.
Okay.
Because their parents and grandparents were all those refugees. Yeah. So it was a very fucking wild, cool experience, very wild. But when I got off...
Living history kind of, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% living history, yeah. So I get off the ferry and I see a billboard, and it's a bikini model, a swimsuit model. And where her breasts would be, there was a giant fucking hole. It's a giant tearing out hole. And I was like, fuck, welcome to Turkey, bro. I was like... Also, we walked through the metal detector and it was not plugged in. So I was like...
noticeably, you're like, come on.
No, the security guy was like, just go.
Yeah. That's so funny.
It reminded me kind of like you've been to Rome before, the Rome airport, how it's just chaos and they're just pissed at you.
Dude, yes. You talking about going through the customs there?
Just everything, the Rome airport. Yeah. Every time I've been through the Rome airport, I'm like, fuck, man, these people hate me and I don't speak Italian.
That's so funny. Yeah.
I
didn't have a great time there either. But both times I was there, I was very, very tired. Sorry, I'm not talking into the microphone. I'll do better soon.
Nah, it's fine. You're totally good. So yeah, that was instead of a quote, like I start off every episode, I'll leave you guys with that story of my times in Turkey.
I like
good times in Turkey. So yeah,
Holy.
episode 30.
Sorry.
No worries. Episode 30, the SOE, the Foreign Office, and the Ahndartiko. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Diogenes Land Podcast, episode 30, the Greek Civil War segment. We got Dustin back with us. Thanks again, Dustin, for making the time.
Of course. Howdy.
It's a busy world out there. You know, we're busy. You're extremely busy. So you just making the time, honestly, is like a big fucking deal.
Always time to learn some new history that is in my blind spot. So grateful to be here.
Yeah. Well, you know, history is ongoing. You know, if you guys need a reprieve from like all the shittiness of like not if you just want to listen to like NPR and everything else and get depressed, that's great too. But if you want to get depressed and have a laugh, you can listen to Dustin's podcast and Untaken.
Thanks.
It'll give you like make things less shitty, generally speaking.
That's a solid plug. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, I mean that's how
is.
I see it, honestly. Because
I
it's
agree.
like, you know, there's a lot of shitty stuff going on. I mean, just, you know, it's very, very depressing to be an American today. And there's a lot of terrible stuff. I mean,
I couldn't imagine being happy about it if I were of a different stripe politically. Like, I couldn't imagine.
Right.
Like,
anyone.
Yeah. Like, I couldn't imagine being like hardcore MAGA and being like, this is great. I'm really happy
this is
about
awesome.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And for the listeners that aren't aware, because I mean, I'll get this episode released, I think, next week. But, you know, it's January 8th when we're shooting this, and that 37-year-old poor
Speaking
mother.
of shooting.
Oh.
When we're shooting this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, and we're shooting this. Oh, you were referring, speaking of shooting.
Yeah.
Da-da-ching.
Yeah.
Not the best pun.
No.
The timing is, no, it's all right.
Yeah, ICE just shot that lady in
yeah, exactly. They shot that 37-year-old lady, and it is fucked up. And this is what happens when you try to opt for a police state. What was that?
Was her name Renee Good?
Renee Good, I think. Yeah, she had like a 6-year-old daughter or something like that.
Everybody started focusing on what the cop's name was. It was like, hey, we should maybe remember the person that died for.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. And then they had the gall to lie about it.
Oh yeah,
and call her a domestic terrorist.
There's no way around that. I mean, she was waving them on and then turning to the right. Person, no, feel free.
It's okay. No, where I was going with all this is like if you've listened to like my podcast, you know, like it's supposed to be apolitical, but it's not really exactly apolitical. It's supposed to be modern Greek history, but like the one thing that a common theme that I think like I want to champion on this podcast is, you know, we want to be anti-authoritarianism for obvious reasons, you know.
And it sure feels like we're drifting steadily into that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, like this is what a police state looks like.
Yep. It is.
You know, like fucking checkpoints, you know, secret police running around asking for your papers.
The president immediately comes out and says that, describes something that didn't happen.
Yeah, this is like crazy Orwellian shit.
And he's in the hospital. Like, what are you talking about? Did you even watch the video?
Yeah,
like, that was his official statement. Like, that's a police state. That's that's just
right. It's very Orwellian, and it's very much a police state. And it's like, you know, this is what it really is about. And it's you know, this is not. There's nothing good that will come from this.
Nope. Yeah.
You know, ultimately. Yep. So.
Yeah. But let's go out of that. And
let's get back to us. Let's rewind back to 1940, late 1940 to early 1943, where we left off last. Operation Harling and the destruction of the Gerolymatos Bridge was a success. Such a success that its legacy still lives on to this day in the lore of resistance operations in Axis-occupied Europe. And as a result, SOE operatives Eddie Myers and C.M. Woodhouse are redirected to stay in Greece, look after the growth of the guerrilla resistance, and with the stroke of a pen, the British military mission was born, the BMM for short, the BMM. So, let's pick up from last episode and talk about the growth of the resistance movement, more specifically, the increase in attacks on Axis occupation forces. Also from last episode, we referred to how, you know, quote, Mountain Greece, as it was called, was pretty much in effect. Mountain Greece was a term Woodhouse used to denote the free nature of the countryside of Greece outside of the big cities that were, you know, the big cities were clearly occupied by Axis troops. But if you're up in the mountains, you know, to him, he had even talked about how he had wanted to possibly pinch himself because he couldn't believe where he was because it was so free, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. let's take off from that and really ask ourselves. I think it's an important question. When did this seemingly sudden liberation of the Greek countryside occur? Right, because it wasn't just a sudden, occur one day on a Tuesday afternoon, all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
Like, sure, you had Operation Harling. A lot of people considered it kind of a turning point. I think more so, this is just my take, it's a noticeable one. Like, a bridge was blown to shit, right?
Yeah.
Explosions in general, easy thing to identify, like a turning point.
Yeah.
But again, you have the divergence of the cities being on lock and the mountains being in open rebellion, and in some cases entirely free.
When you say that, do you mean that in the prior times the mountains weren't as free, or
not
just
as free? Yeah.
really? Okay, so you would think that that's tough to like Afghanistan, right? Like
right. Similar concept, right? It's what was the saying? When the road ends is where the Taliban begins.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
like you would think that they would sort of always have been. Well, of course, Greece is an old place, so there's...
No, I mean there was more. Let's put it this way, right? Yes, to your point. Yeah, the mountains were always kind of
wild,
like that.
but you weren't necessarily free because you were under the thumb of who controlled that.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. But we're getting to the point, as we're going to see now, in late 1942, where there are actions that are happening that the resistance is taking, the Ahndartiko, the guerrilla movement, that would not have occurred before, right? Like, for example, in September of 1942, 300 Italians had been captured outside of Lamia in central Greece, not too far from the same place where the bridge was blown up. Yeah, exactly. So, like, you could say after the bridge was blown up, everything kind of accelerated, right? And even in the winter of 1942, like November 1942 and stuff, that winter, usually there's a lull. That's kind of like warfare in general. Things toned down in the winter. That wasn't the case this winter. There was a 3-day battle near Agrafa in central Greece where 150 Italian soldiers were killed. There were chrome mines in the Domokos in northern Greece were attacked and plundered. In February of 1942, 2 Italian companies were attacked by, and quote, a band of some 800 strong.
That's quite a band.
Yeah, I know, that's a big band. Huh? Yeah. They got a lot of bass players in there. They lost 75 men the first day, and 137 were taken prisoners, but were returned the next day without their weapons. By April of 1943, an Italian source had noted, and quote, control throughout the northeast, center, and southwest of Greece remains very precarious, not to say non-existent. At this point, Italians even started to withdraw completely from several towns.
Okay.
So, yeah. There's a really good excerpt here from Mark Mazower's Inside Hitler's Greece, and quote, an SOE agent driving through Karditsa in the last week of March noted that, in quote, driving through its streets, it was difficult to believe that I was in a town in enemy-occupied territory. The shops were open, the streets and cafes full. I had to almost pinch myself to make sure that the scene was real and I was not dreaming about a peacetime holiday abroad.
Wow.
Yeah. Big turn, for sure.
In a real short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this all turned like this in, 6 months.
Yeah.
Give or take. So, again, let's get back to it, right? Let's ask the big question I had asked before. How did things start to unravel so quickly? Right, as you said.
Yeah.
It was pretty quick, right? So there's a few reasons I want to touch on that I think are important. They're not all the reasons, but I think they're like important ones, right? For starters, there were the issues of gendarmes. Is that how you say it? Gendarmes? Gendarmeries?
I thought it was gendarmes.
Gendarme is the better word. I've been saying it wrong for so long.
Don't take French from me.
I don't speak French, bro. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. No matter what, the French will hate it. So
yes, that's a good, valid point. So there was the issue of gendarmes. And specifically, there was the issue of gendarmes defecting to the resistance. Right? Okay. So we mentioned gendarmes in like previous episodes. I don't know. I think a lot of listeners have an idea, but they're kind of like sheriffs, I think of them as. Similar-ish.
Okay.
Maybe not. They're kind of like police. They're more paramilitary. At least in Greece anyways, they're more paramilitary. They're like more heavily armed.
Yeah.
You've been
like super cops. Like
like you've
they're
been
official, but they're like up armored or something, better.
You've been in Italy before. You've seen them walking around with like semi-automatic.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Full on. Just like in broad daylight. Like that's usually stuff police like get like have to like dress up in. Those guys are dressed up in that all the time.
I saw that when I was in Italy. Listeners, I don't know if I've said this when I've been here before, but I spent a few weeks in Italy. So,
this is the guy now. Yeah. This is Italian man. Tell us, please. Tell us about your travels.
So it was as Trump was like sending the National Guard into all our cities. And I was like, well, this is, I guess everything's fine here. So maybe it's okay our president's doing that. I don't know.
Maybe we should have heavily armed guys walking around all the time.
But then you're like, well, this is next to like a 2,000-year-old monument. Maybe we should like make sure that there's some crazy person.
Super soft target where millions of people visit every summer and probably year round. Yeah, no, 100%. So those are gendarmes, right? Mm-hmm. So like during the occupation, the gendarmes were employed and expected to like keep peace, and they were expected to crack down on the Andartes.
Okay.
The guerrillas.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen for that long, right? So first by autumn in 1941, so 1 year before Operation Harling, where reports started flooding in of gendarme stations being attacked, especially up in Macedonia.
Okay.
Some gendarmes fired back, but this was relatively rare because like why would you want to shoot back if you're a gendarme?
Yeah.
You want to shoot back at patriots, right?
Yeah.
Fellow countrymen. Not cool. Right. Then in September 1941, over a dozen gendarmes from the village of Carillas, if I said that right, near Elasona, they marched right up to an Elas band in Thessaly and requested to join them. Straight up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big, it's when that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a double whammy, right? In January 1943, a police station at Polineriu was fully stripped of its guns by Andartes, which the officers helped them accomplish, according to the Italians anyways. And the following month, an entire gendarme station at Slatica, I'm sorry, it's a hard word. An entire unit enrolled in an Elas unit, right? So like an entire gendarme, whatever, group. So, these defections were crucial for the development of the Ahndartiko resistance bands forming in the countryside.
Like you said, when you say double whammy, meaning like you lost the soldiers, but they went to your enemy.
Exactly. Yeah. You lost the people that were supposed to be policing your enemy. They now became your enemy.
Yeah, it really hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. And they bring guns, they bring ammunition, they bring experience, good quality soldiers. And again, that double whammy, they simultaneously weaken the security apparatus.
Yeah.
So, not good.
No.
As we get into early 1943, this will accelerate with 140 prisoners being freed by 300 Andartes in Yanina, supposedly, again, helped by gendarmes, according to the Italians. And in April, Andartes dressed up as gendarmes entered the Sotiria Sanatorium in Athens, inside of Athens, and helped 52 communists escape.
Wow. And
it might have been the same
those uniforms from
right. Yeah. It might have been the same sanatorium where that one guy was locked up. Remember the guy that was running it early? I'd have to check that out.
How many
sanatoriums can there be in Athens? It's got to be the same one. I think his name was Plumbidis. I have to check it out. I forgot. Eventually, the Italians, though, they just started closing down the offices, gendarme offices in the remote areas, because they were like, they're more of a liability than they are to helping us out, This wouldn't especially help, though. In May of 1943, Elas captured the town of Grevena, which is like an entire town, and they also captured the entire Italian garrison there. In the following month, they ambushed a German convoy. In the following month, the Andartes forced the Italians to pull out of the town of Mazower, which is a pretty decently big town. It's up on the border with Albania. It's up there.
Okay.
They're decent-sized towns. Think of like Tampa or Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Relative. Yeah. Mazower, I'm pretty sure, does have its own football team today. I'd be willing to bet on it. It might not be D1, though, but...
Big enough, though.
Big enough. Yeah. Notable, for sure.
Well, you could build a stadium and trust that you could fill it.
You could fill it up. If the stadium was like 5,000, maybe. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly, but you could fill it for sure. Yeah. And like by May of 1943, the Ahdartiko was in charge by some estimates of most of the mainland, numbers-wise. Like just saying, and generally speaking, let's put it that way, they were in charge of much of the countryside. By some estimates, there were as many as 17,000 Andartes in the field at this point in May of 1943. Most of them related to in connection with Elas.
Okay.
The left.
Yeah.
Left of right. Kind of like
left of what?
Well, I was going to say it's hard as an American, right? Because everything over there is left of.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, mostly socialists, communists, some Venizelos, some monarchists, too. It's like a whole conglomeration. There were a lot of people. Because that was the group that was kind of like the patriotic group to join if you wanted to kill Germans. If you wanted to kill Axis soldiers.
Okay, right. I remember now. Yeah.
So, all types of people, yeah. So that was issue number 1. Issue number 2 was the predictable response and an attempted crackdown of the rising resistance movement. So, yeah, I know this sounds kind of complicated. I'll unpack it for you. Okay. By autumn of 1942, the Italians, remember, were in charge of most of the Greek countryside at this point in our story, were able to have some informants on their payroll. This always goes well, right? You can already see.
Yeah.
These informants would feed the Italians information about suspected guerrillas or anyone involved, and then the Italians would arrest, quote unquote, members of said resistance groups. That's how it works on paper, right?
Okay.
But as you may have noticed, I put the words, I did air quotes.
A lot of quotes.
Yeah, a lot of air quotes the listeners couldn't see. In practice, things worked much different. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
Informants, believe it or not, didn't always provide reliable information. They would just, what?
Yeah.
They would often just feed, bullshit to Italians.
Did they try waterboarding them? That usually,
that usually gets more accurate. Bullshit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what the Greek, did they get the cats out? That's the catboarding. Catboarding.
Catboarding, yeah.
That's it.
Or catstration.
Catstration. Yeah, right. Step aside, waterboarding. We got the cats here. You think you're hot shit, CIA?
That is so Greek.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. Oh my God. So, okay, to give some real world examples. You're an informant. Your neighbor's a dick.
Yeah. Oh, we saw this in Afghanistan. It's like, that Pashtun over there, you just had some personal beef.
Yes.
And that guy spends 20 years in Guantanamo.
Yes. Similar shit. You want his olive fields. You like his, sheep and his fig trees. You have a problem with
his herd and your herd, and there's conflict. Yeah.
You want to bang his wife or whatever, and, you envy his whole life or everything or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's
a whole spectrum of things that people do.
Yeah, full spectrum of reasons people envy other people or whatever, whatever the case. Suddenly this guy is a communist, right?
Yeah.
So you're telling this guy, and now the Italians come and they beat the shit out of him or they lock him up or they shoot him.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Right.
Like, it's not rocket science.
No.
So that's issue number 2. Issue number 3 was in regards to another group of people similar to the gendarmes, but in a different sector. And those were the military officers. Military, we haven't talked about them, right?
Yeah.
At this point of our story, now that the military was collapsed and disbanded, they were ex-officers. So just so we're all on the same page, when I say officers, I mean commissioned officers like lieutenants, captains, majors, lieutenant colonels, brigadier generals, all types of generals, yada, 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 yada.
Yeah.
Okay. So these guys up to this point were still receiving, believe it or not, a monthly payment from the government as a way to incentivize the Corps to stay fat and lazy and uninvolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes
sense, I guess. And a lot of them just stayed uninvolved and whatnot. And that was until the Italians.
They just bought them off.
What was that?
Is it like they just bought them off?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thinking behind it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you can either chill and we'll pay you.
Yeah.
Mind you, everyone around you starving and dying.
Yeah.
Or
it can only last so long, right? Eventually, that doesn't satisfy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly the path we're going down, right? So all that went well, lasted until the Italians started to think that a lot of these guys weren't actually staying out of the game. And around mid-1942ish, they started rounding them up and shipping them across the Adriatic Sea back to camps in Italy, which was dangerous trip, right? Boats were getting blown to bits all the time. You might not make it. They get sunk. A lot of people didn't make it.
Yeah.
So at this point, just like with previous examples, and we've seen this podcast with witch hunts and stuff like, witch hunts and whatnot.
Yeah.
This drove many officers underground. And as a result of them being driven underground, the resistance movement was given an influx of people with experience in leadership positions, something a lot of these groups lacked up to this point for obvious reasons. Super valuable, right?
Yeah.
Additionally, a lot of these ex-officers were Venizelists who were purged as a result of the failed 1935 Venizelos coup. Then they were sidelined by the monarchist Metaxas regime, took over. So like they weren't even allowed to fight, a lot of them, in World War II on the Greek side. So they were pissed, like they wanted their share of glory and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it, from a patriotic standpoint, They're like, what the fuck am I, chopped liver? I've been sat by while you guys beat the Italians and the monarchists took all the glory.
It's a deeper punishment, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, So throughout the winter of 1942-43, the crackdown on officers by the Italians turned into reprisal killings and hostage takings of specifically officers, which caused officers, of course, to rush even more to the underground. Just to provide us with an example, an Italian who was captured by Ahdartiko in January 1943 noted that the group that snagged him, around 100 to 150 men, was led entirely by former officers, including a major. Wow. 3 captains and half a dozen or so lieutenants, which is like top heavy for 100, 150 men. Like, I don't know a lot about military stuff, but I researched it. It sounds like a lot. Yeah. Like a major usually commands a battalion. A battalion's around 300 to 1,000 men.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, it's very top. It'd be like if your whole work crew was just supervisors.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't always get a lot done from that too,
No, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
You need like grunts and stuff and whatever,
fighting too.
Yeah. Too much leadership for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, like with that being said though, you don't need a pair of binoculars to see that Ahdartiko was growing for a variety of reasons heading into 1943. That's our overview of everything, right?
Okay.
Let's rewind a bit, get back to our friends Eddie Myers and C.M. Woodhouse, the SOE agents. Okay. Woodhouse, like we talked. Sorry. What was that?
I was saying sticking around
Greece. That's right. They were given an extended vacation in Greece.
BMM, right? That's what these guys.
BMM, the British military mission. Yeah, that's exactly these guys' mission, pretty much. Okay. So, like we talked about last episode, Woodhouse was reassigned to Athens to be like a liaison and like a contact person between the Cairo SOE office and the Ahndartiko, the resistance. Being in Athens as a 6'5" redhead obviously is problematic in a Nazi-occupied city. And like also keep in mind that Athens was well known for being full of like, spies, collaborators, double agents, triple agents, every shady character in between. But Athens was also the place where all the big heads of the resistance groups were stationed. So like the KKE's leadership was in Athens. Edessa's leadership was in Athens. Everyone was in Athens. They're all operating out of there. So if you want to do liaison stuff, it's a good spot. Yeah. Yeah. You got to go, like if you're a lobbyist in DC, if you're a political lobbyist, where are you going to go?
Right.
DC is the place to be.
DC,
yeah. If you want to work your way up the resistance liaison place, you make it to the big city, which is Nazi.
You want to do showbiz, you go to New York or LA.
Yeah, exactly. You want to do showbiz, you want to be a liaison SOE officer, you go to Nazi-occupied Athens. That's it,
Makes
right?
Sense.
Yeah, place. Yeah, absolutely. So, Woodhouse, though, was lucky enough to get the help of a guide provided by Zervas, Napoleon Zervas, and he was able to make it to Athens by the end of January. He was taken to a safe house, and he stayed cooped up there, only leaving during nighttime.
Oh, wow.
His first assignment when he was in Athens was to make contact with a group called, this is a cool name, the Six Colonels.
I like it.
Solid. It's no Odysseus, but it's up there. It's good. It's solid. It's a cool name. So like they were colonels, obviously, right? No bullshit. They were 6 colonels.
Okay. I'm following so far.
Right. They were important in the eyes of the SOE because it was speculated by the SOE that this group could take leadership of the resistance group in the mountains.
Oh.
Like they're colonels, after all, right? but the colonels were royalist leaning. And the largest resistance group we know was Hellas, right? Not royalist, the opposite.
Not royalist, yeah.
The opposite of royalist leaning, policy-wise anyways. But whatever, Woodhouse wasn't discouraged. A meeting was arranged for January 30th, but Woodhouse got ghosted.
Whoa.
Yeah, they ghosted him. Especially dick thing to do in like Nazi-occupied Athens, right?
Yeah.
It's not like
and you can't text and figure out what's going on or shoot him an email. Like you're gonna have to write a letter.
Think of the anxiety. You thought you had anxiety getting ghosted on a date today or something.
Yeah. You weren't a liaison in Nazi-occupied Athens.
It's like, listen, I came all the way from that mountains here to dodge the Gestapo.
Yeah.
The Gestapo. What'd you say? Gestapo?
Gazpacho. Marjorie Taylor Greene called it the Gazpacho police.
No way.
Yeah, she said it was like a couple years ago. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know.
That's really funny.
She said she was on a tear. She's like, the Gazpacho police. And I was like, the super
She couldn't stop. That one wasn't going to stop her. She couldn't be stopped.
Yep.
No way. That's awesome. That's really
Nobody
funny.
cared too, right? Like you forgot about it.
Of course nobody cared.
Yeah.
Kavafi.
Your favorite. Yeah. Nothing.
Kavafi.
No, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah. Woodhouse wouldn't give up though. He wouldn't give up yet. 2 days later, another meeting was planned. And this time, 2 of the 6 colonels showed up. The 2 who did show up, they were like, yo, we represent the group as a whole. And they proceeded to express how they had zero interest in guerrilla warfare.
Oh. So
0.
Representing the other 4 in the 6.
Right.
Okay.
They were like, no, we don't want, primarily because they feared the inevitable retribution of the Axis powers, reprisals, which we've heard this story before. This is a big reason why a lot of the political and military elite did not get involved. Because they knew the country would be
was it
destroyed.
smart or is it cowardly? It depends on who your
I think
heroes
about
are.
that all the time, bro.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. Because first off, the colonels were not fucking wrong. Greece was like absolutely devastated, completely destroyed. Like if you look at the data on how thoroughly Greece was just plundered and destroyed, and we've talked about already in the series so far.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this story. I have a Swedish friend, and Sweden kind of played like neutral in World War II-ish, right? From what I understand. I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure they did.
No, my mom used to always say, I'm Swedish, thinking like she's like trying to say she's neutral on things.
Yeah.
And she would say it meaning Switzerland.
Oh, that's
forgetting Switzerland's name.
Yeah, right.
And repeatedly saying Swedish. And then one time I looked up, I was like, actually, technically my mom's been right, but she doesn't know that.
She doesn't know. Yeah. Let her keep saying it, right?
I don't care, yeah.
But like I had a Swedish friend. I was telling him about it. I was telling my mom's village was burned down by the Germans. Like I have friends from Dustin, which is a famous massacre and stuff like that. And and it's like you look at like the austerity crisis, and it's like, man, if we had a little extra fucking money, could have helped. Was it really worth it? And my Swedish friend goes, yeah. He goes, but as a Swede, I am partly ashamed that we were like neutral in World War II, that we didn't play more of a role.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, legacy versus whatever.
Right.
I don't think it really matters that much. I think what matters more is...
it wouldn't have swayed it. Okay.
Yeah. What was that? You would have swayed it?
No. No, it did sound like I said that. No, I was saying it may not have swayed anything anyways.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You just don't know,
Yeah.
So anyways, Woodhouse's rendezvous with the 6 colonels, total flop, right?
Yeah.
But...
It is? Oh, okay, yeah, because he's saying he doesn't want to join them.
Right. A total flop like that, you know what I mean? Flop of a meeting.
Yeah.
Woodhouse, anyways, though, he'd stay true to his position as SOE liaison, and he decided that while he was in town, he would go ahead and, on his own initiative, make contact with EAM's Central Committee. Remember, these were the guys that commanded Hellas. Okay. EAM was created pretty much with the KKE. They're kind of like communist dominated.
Yeah.
People didn't know that at this point, but...
Okay, right. It's still a secret.
Right, kind of. Yeah, it's like half out the bag. The meeting included 5 of the Central Committee's members, notably of which included George Tsiantos and Andreas Zimas. Woodhouse noted that Zimas was the, quote, certainly the ablest and clearest thinker in the Communist Party, and, quote, only leading Greek communists with whom it was an intellectual pleasure to argue with.
I like that. He's like, this is an opponent I admire.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like American like special forces like meeting with the Taliban and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not that these guys are like similar and not similar at the time. It was going to be like,
they don't want too similar, Mr. Taliban.
Yeah. So the primary goal of Woodhouse's meeting was to try to convince Aham's Central Committee to join Hellas in the mountains.
Okay.
You know, like get the fuck out of Athens.
Okay.
Right? Like relocate, leave Athens, get the Central Committee, go to the mountains.
Right.
The reasoning behind this was it would be much easier for the British to be in contact and thus, in theory anyways, influence and thus Hellas if they were in the free mountain Greece as opposed to Nazi-occupied Athens.
Right. Okay. So it makes it easier, and they're probably more likely to, they themselves would be more likely to be comfortable acting freely.
Yeah.
That
They can operate freer as well.
It's good for both of us. We can
it's a win-win.
better, and you can live the way you want to here.
Yeah, exactly. And the mountains of Greece are nice too.
Yeah.
So as it ran right now, decisions ran back and forth between Hellas in the countryside and Aham's Central Committee in Athens. Obviously, to your point again, it's just difficult. It's a difficult logistically speaking. Siantos refused, but he did agree to send the other guy, Zimas, to the mountains, partly in order to inspect the bands, the guerrilla bands, but also to serve as a kind of political commissar role.
Okay.
You know, another win that Woodhouse got out of the meetings was that Siantos agreed to send an Aham representative to Cairo to meet and discuss with the Greek government in exile and British authorities.
Okay.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. Decent success Woodhouse is having in Athens.
Yeah. It's all coming up Woodhouse. Wow.
What's that?
It's all coming up Woodhouse.
It's all coming up Woodhouse?
Yeah.
Is that a saying or something? I don't know.
Isn't that the Simpsons meme? I'll look it up.
Millhouse?
Maybe it's Millhouse. That's probably it.
I don't know. I haven't watched The Simpsons in a while. I just know Millhouse.
It's all coming up. Oh yeah, there is an Woodhouse. You know what? Easy to know. It's not there. There is no such thing as a Woodhouse, but it is the joke. The meme is everything's coming up Millhouse.
Oh
man, I almost had a great line there.
You did almost. It's still pretty good. It's still not terrible.
I'm glad that you corrected it because it would have been really embarrassing if I didn't.
No, dude, listen, gazpacho, all right?
Yeah,
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
You know what, though? It's all coming up Woodhouse. It's a good
all
way of
coming up
remembering
Woodhouse. That's right. It's a thing now. Now we make it a thing.
The history of the event.
So yeah. So the same day that Woodhouse had his meeting with Aham, he got word that his main contact in Athens had been captured by the Germans while he was in the middle of transmitting a message.
Shit.
Yeah, the worst time. The worst kind of time to be captured by the Germans. One of the worst times. There's a lot of bad times, but so yeah. Just like we've seen so many times before, this fella had multiple files, lots of things written down that the Germans seized, and as a result, they knew way too much about Woodhouse, his operations, what he was up to, where he might be in Athens, and all that jazz. So, you know, it's kind of like an Atkinson thing again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. Zimas and a communist thing again with that other guy too. This happens all the fucking time.
Taking too many notes, having too many meetings.
Yeah, dude.
Keeping records.
Yeah, stop keeping records, people. So Zimas, the communist from that previous meeting with Central Committee, he took Woodhouse under his wing, sheltered him in a proper safe house, and even provided him with false papers. Nice. Woodhouse was very impressed with his treatment and commented that, quote, communist security was truly professional, end quote. Top grade, A1.
Yeah.
On February 4th, Woodhouse was able to safely make it out of Athens, and by the end of the month, he linked back up with Myers in the mountains. Let's talk about Myers.
Okay.
Myers, while Woodhouse was busy having meetings and running from, away from the Gestapo in Athens, Myers was sick with pneumonia in the mountains. He was being moved around by Ahdartiko wrapped in a blanket tied to the back of a mule, while also escaping from Italian air raids and Italian ground raids as well. A village doctor tried to help him out with a good old cupping. In Greek, we call them venduzes, like, the cupping. The cupping where they cup you.
Like the medicine or the
fire where they put the fire, they cup you and pull the thing like acupuncture or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I meant by medicine, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, exactly. That thing didn't work. Doesn't fix pneumonia.
No.
Surprise.
Makes you look stupid.
Bummer. Makes you look stupid. Makes you look like you have oddly circular hickeys all around your back for some weird reason.
You know what?
Who did you sleep with last night?
It makes you feel like you can play basketball better. Go ahead and do it.
Sure.
People in the Olympics with it, it's like, whatever. I don't care.
Fair enough. Yeah. No.
I'm not going to try to change your mind.
So the Venduzas, the cupping didn't work, but Zervas was able to get a hold of some modern medicine. Some stuff called M&B tablets, which were a brand new antibiotic which cured bacterial pneumonia. Someone famous who used these tablets was Winston Churchill himself. They were like a precursor to penicillin, honestly. Okay. After Myers recovered, he was able to better assess the situation and write a couple of analyses. Woodhouse, of course, had his own view of things as well. So let's take a look at what the SOE thought of their experiences and their encounters and everything like that. So, starting with Myers, he thought Elas was of great importance and pointed out that although it was communist-controlled via EAM, most of its members were not aware of this. And, quote, and this is Myers describing EAM, by the way, quote, a genuine body organized to free Greece. It has many royalist members, including a general. After the war, they desire a plebiscite. I always get confused with that word.
Yeah, I know. It's like okay, fine. I can teach myself to say pleb, but you don't put it in context.
Plebiscite. I know. Can we just say referendum? Yeah, plebiscite to decide the government and to be controlled by the allies, followed by a general election. The EAM would then dissolve. End quote. He then went on to describe, in quote, Thessaly Elas guerrillas as the largest and best organized of all. Athens attaches importance to them owing to their position astride the main north-south road. End quote. Myers also recommended that single command headquarters, again in the mountains, not in Athens, for all resistance groups. Again, the SOE had this vision that they were going to somehow unite all the groups.
Yeah, up in the mountains at their retreat.
Up the mountains and inflict maximum pain on the Nazis, which is yeah, fucking right. Did not. Yeah, spoiler alert, it didn't pan out. If it did, I wouldn't have a fucking podcast called The Greek Civil running a segment on the Greek Civil War.
Shit.
So yeah.
Cold War history would be entirely different, probably.
It'd be different. I mean, the Greek Civil War was the first successful example of containment.
Yeah.
It was
kind
of
no matter if you liked it or didn't, you could look at it as how to achieve a certain end or avoid.
Yeah. When they were thinking about Vietnam, they thought about when they thought about North Korea.
Right.
It was slightly still, they overlapped a bit. It was almost immediately after this, but yeah. So yeah, Woodhouse, so that was Myers, Eddie Myers. Woodhouse had a slightly different view on things. And quote, the EAM literature has a pro-Russian tinge and abuses the king, Tsuderos, and Kanelopoulos. I believe the communists control EAM unknown to most members.
Oh, wow. He saw through it.
Yeah. Woodhouse was not sold on it. So just to touch on that, a few of the people they mentioned, all right? King George II, we know. Kanelopoulos, he was a guy who was a moderate royalist whose name was on that set of documents captured by Axis soldiers when Atkinson got busted back in Antiparos. He had to flee Greece. He went to the exiled government. That was Kanelopoulos.
Okay.
Tsuderos, we came across that name a while back, okay?
Okay.
So Tsuderos, in our current timeline, as in late 1942, early 1943, he was the prime minister of the government in exile.
Okay.
Going back further, he was appointed governor of the Bank of Greece during Venizelos' last term in 1928 to 1932.
Okay.
So after Metaxas died, we had Korizis. Metaxas died January of 1941.
Okay.
This other guy called Korizis took over. He shot himself in the head on Good Friday in 1941. He was at a meeting. He asked to resign when he saw, everything was going bad. They were steamrolling into Greece, the Nazis. It was not like the Italians. They fucking steamrolled, right?
Yeah.
So he had a meeting. He asked the king if he could resign. The king said no. He said, I have to go home to handle some business. Yeah.
He did.
The king told his brother to go check on him as his brother. I think it was his brother or his cousin. I think it was Paul, one of the royal family, walked in. They heard a loud gunshot, and he shot himself in the head. So after that guy shot himself in the head, that's when Suderos took over and became prime minister. Suderos was also involved in a plot to overthrow Metaxas in March of 1939, which also Plastiras of Venizelos was also involved with, apparently. Metaxas' security apparatus, though, cracked down the plot. Suderos was forced to resign as governor of Bank of Greece, and he was placed under house arrest. That's just a rabbit hole thing with Suderos.
Okay.
Back to late 1942, early 1943 in SOE stuff, there was something else in Myers' SOE report that ended up pissing off the SOE Cairo High Command. And that was that Myers suggested that the British ensure a plebiscite after liberation in order to better determine the path the Greek people would want to go down themselves, as in a monarchy or no monarchy. Crazy suggestion that the people decide.
Yeah, right.
Themselves.
Decide if they want a monarchy or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So like this sounds like a reasonable request, but it was just way too much for the Foreign Office. And Myers and the SOE were reamed out and told essentially to stay in their lane and not to worry about the political agenda.
Did they feel like they went native or something?
Kind of. It seems almost seems like that. They had to. So yeah, it kind of has. From what I read, it was. So that whole suggestion, it set off a low-grade interdepartmental civil war between the Foreign Office officials in London and the SOE in Cairo.
Oh, that's
where
cool.
the Foreign Office started talking trash about the SOE supporting groups.
I can tell there's a whole jag to go on there, huh?
There's a whole, there's a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, it's just
you maybe
crazy.
Do a show just on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to dig more into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Foreign Office, they started talking trash about the SOE groups, supporting groups that were hostile to the Greek monarchy. But the shit talking didn't succeed in its objectives. And shortly after this quarrel began, the Foreign Office stated that, quote, while they don't mix in politics, they know that His Majesty's government supports the king and his government, end quote.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you were saying, the native thing, right?
Yeah.
They're not native. They know what the king needs, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, on that note, I think it's a good place to leave off for today. Join us next time. We'll have a Florida development in the mountains and a bunch of other more SOE conniving and stuff.
Forward to it.
Take care.